Now I've got this thing ready to put some G5 sealer on, which is your standard gray. I'm gonna get the sealer on and I'm gonna go straight into the color. I'm not gonna tell you anything about it until I'm completely done putting the color on. All right, so before we get some paint on, we're gonna take a look at what it takes to get these things right. So this hood was molded in, so obviously there's a lot of body work on the top. And at the same time, we went ahead and glaze coated the entire sides where it was a little wavy. Make sure everything's nice and straight. This is gonna be a black car. Down along the sides here, we had some issue with the body line and then the front end not being long enough. So we cut, split, and moved some things around. We had to add a little bit to the end of this hood section here where the hood and the front end didn't meet correctly. Other than that, you know, the same thing on the other side. Did exactly the same deal. So right now we're going to put down 3 coats of the EverCoat Super Build 4:1 polyester primer. Then we'll block that down real good with a 120 grit. Finish it off with about 220 to 320. And then we'll put down 3 coats of a good urethane primer. That way we'll be ready to sand and paint. All right, so I bet you weren't expecting to see this color change to that. All right, now that color there is known as 24 karat gold in the PPG Vibrance collection. It is a discontinued color. I had a little bit of issue, but thankfully the people that take care of me at the paint store and PPG hooked everything up, and so we changed just a little something to make the color almost identical. But you'll never be able to tell between the front of the car and the back of the car. So what we're going to be doing is some racing stripes using this same color as the majority color. And then obviously in the front end, we're not going to be doing chrome. We're going to be doing gold bumper and gold trim. So everything on this car is actually black and gold. So I'm the one tasked to repaint the front end, even though this is not my color scheme. I didn't come with this. I'm not taking credit for it. I just got to redo it. So I'm gonna get the stripes laid out and then I'll come back and show you what they look like. All right, there we go. Got the racing stripes laid out. Now, this is a carbon fiber pattern. This is the way the car was already done. So like I said before, I'm repeating what the previous painter did. So what we've got here is a Gerber masking cut out in the same shapes as your carbon fiber would be. So it's just a zigzag pattern essentially. All these little blocks, these are 1/8 inch wide by 1/4 inch wide. So, you know, we pulled out every other one, and obviously you can see there's about 50 inches. So total of about 100 inches worth at about, you know, 1/8 to 1/4 inch thick. So you can y'all can do the math and figure out how many little lines. Now each one of these lines I had to lay down by itself. because of all these crazy contours of this hood scoop. The stuff works great on a nice flat hood or just a flat surface in general, but when you have the compound curve or the scoop going up as well as going down, and then even in the back of this scoop as it tapers off a little bit, the only way I could get these things laid out right, I had to pull them each individually and lay them all down, and then go back and pull every other one out so that I give it, you know, so it has the proper look, everything has the proper spacing. So now we have the gold down, which is actually, I don't think I mentioned it, it is a tri-coat gold. It started with the purple, and then we used a yellow radiance dye mixed with a copper pearl and a green pearl. That's what created the gold look. Now, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna mix black with a different gold, just a regular base coat type of gold, which is called pot of gold. We're gonna mix that up with black 1:1, and that's gonna be our dark shade of the carbon fiber. If you ever seen a piece of carbon fiber, you'll notice you have like a lighter colored weave and then the darker colored weave going the other way. Well, that's what this is representing. We've got the light colored weave, and then we're gonna make the dark colored weave in the middle so that it looks just like a real piece of carbon, but it's gonna look like a gold piece of carbon. All right, so fast forward a little bit. I've got everything masked off that's going to be staying gold, or what would normally be the silver or chrome parts. So the grill surround, the actual grill, the horizontal lines in the grill I do as in a chrome setup. And I've even got the SS letters here that I'm going to be keeping gold. And the Camaro emblem, we're going to do that in gold as well. So right now I've got the gray on top. Now this is going to serve as the color for the background of my SS, as well as the borders, the vertical borders. I don't think you've ever really seen me do those real well, so I'm gonna try to show that to you this time around. Now the carbon fiber stripes, they're all taken care of and done. They're masked off the way they need to be. The entire front end is gonna be getting painted black. And so while I'm doing the black on the grill, I'm gonna go ahead and just black out the entire front end, and that way I'll be done coloring everything. I'll just have to go back and do a little airbrushing here and there to knock everything out. So right now I'm going to get the border on for the background on for the SS. And then I'm going to go in, I'm going to tape all my vertical lines off, and then tape off the area here that I need for the hideaway headlight area. So the 1/8 inch line represents the face of the borders. So this is going to remain gray because you need that dull color. Now we're going to cut it right here at the bottom where the surrounding part of this inner grill is, and we're going to cut it again at the top. All right, so that's our beginning. Now from there, we're going to use some 1.5" tape, and we're going to create ourselves a little spacer so that we can space these out until we get over to about right here, where we'll divide it and do the hideaway headlight section. All right, so now that I've gone as far over as I can with my 1/8 inch vertical lines, I've gone ahead and marked out my spot, what's going to be my hideaway section. You know, in a factory grill, you've got the see-through area, and then you've got the hideaway portion that hides the headlight. So we're actually going to block this section off. We're going to keep this gray, and then we're going to come back and we're going to do 1/4 inch vertical lines to the right side of each one of these lines. And that's going to represent our side of the vertical borders. So it gives it some depth in there. Now, the car just happens to be black, but if I was doing any other color, I would be blacking out the grille. Now, a lot of people kind of wonder why you just don't make a grid section out of like the Gerber mask and just lay down a big grid network and then go back and do a bunch of airbrushing and stuff. And the reason is because of the order and the way things go. This provides the best look. Because if you were to print, you know, some sort of lines like this, you're gonna have to go back and either do a lot of cutting, or you're gonna have to kind of deal with what kind of print you put on there with a lot of stenciling and airbrushing. Now there is a lot of shadowing that needs to be done, but we're gonna do this in a specific order, and so it's really not that bad. So as you saw, I put the vertical lines in, the vertical 1/8 inch lines in first, and then I did the 1/4 inch lines on each side, you know, right side, left side, and then I added the 1/4 inch line just above the other horizontal 1/8 inch line. Now the reason is because we want that to stay gray, and we're going to pull that off first. So I'm going to get this pulled off, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. As you can see, I pulled the 1/4 inch vertical and the 1/4 inch horizontal lines off. Now what this is going to give me, obviously everything to the right is exposed of these 1/8 inch vertical lines on this side, and then everything to the left is exposed on these, because this, you know, this passenger side of the car, driver side of the car. Now in the middle I typically do a double line, so I'm kind of getting a little bit of both. And that's just because, you know, somebody's taking a picture of a car from over here and the light source is coming in this way, because that's how we have this gridded out. You're not really going to see that other line. And it's even hard for y'all to see the stuff in the camera. You know, when these things are totally done, it's hard for y'all to actually even see what's going on. All right, so what I'm going to be doing is actually airbrushing this corner right here. I'm going to be cutting it right there so that I divide it and create this as 2 separate pieces. And then where my 1/8 inch horizontal line is here, I'm going to shadow it right below it as well, because it's supposed to be, you know, kind of tucked underneath this horizontal line. We're going to be darkening that corner right there, and we're going to give a little darkness to the whole thing, but mainly we want to make that sharp line to provide that split. Now what I'm using is just 1683 DBC black. It is thinned down a little bit to make it not quite so black. It will it won't darken up too quick, because we just want to shadow it. We're not trying to actually paint it black. So we'll get our shadow. We get our shadow in there, and then we'll kind of shade it off to the side. Now, being that this is all gray, it might look a little bright to you now, but when I get through making the little details, I can always go through and darken this up before I pull that last bit of tape off. I don't have to worry about the gray being too bright, just because you can darken it up with the black. All right, so I've got everything shaded on the actual grill portion for now. Now you can see where I shaded below the main line that's going to be the outer perimeter of the inner grill, and then below each one of these other lines. Now when we pull the tape off, you'll understand it a little better. For now though, we've got to work on the hideaway headlight area. So I'm actually going to use a little stencil with a circle on it, and I'm going to round off these corners and black them out. That way we can go ahead and pull this tape off here, and we can start working on the hideaway headlight portion. And also we're going to go ahead and pull our tape off of the outer perimeter of the SS. That way we can start shadowing and darkening on that, and we'll leave the actual SS, which is covering up our gold right now. So for now we're just doing a bunch of shadowing and shading on everything that's supposed to be the black plastic. All right, so I pulled off this one piece of tape right here. Now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to actually take the airbrush and I'm going to paint black right down this edge, because I want this plastic to look like it's fading into nowhere. It's another reason why I did these brown circles here. We'll have to go back and touch up some more later, but I'm going to shadow underneath the line here, underneath the line here, straight across. And what we're going to do is we're going to darken it up to a point where we can still see some of the gray in the blocks, but we want to give the illusion that there's actually something here. Now I'm going to darken, since we're looking for this side, I'm going to darken the left side of each one of these. That way it looks like the light's connecting, or the light's shining in. All right, so now that the hideaway headlight portion's done, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start to dust over these lines, especially down through here, because I want to make a differentiation between the face and the side. Now what I originally missed was you couldn't tell where the vertical part was versus the side piece. So Logistics of this stuff is a pain in the ass, but you live and learn every time. All right, so at this point, pretty much all the shadowing is done. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna just dust over everything and darken it up just to kind of hide it, you know, just to hide it down a little bit. You don't want it super bright, so we're going to dust over with the black with the airbrush, and then at that point, I'm going to move on. Y'all aren't going to see the rest until it's actually finished. All right, so I know I cut y'all off, but I didn't want to bore you with all the other stuff. I just try to give you some of the relevant details. So now we're finished up. Got the black gold 68 Camaro. Now, as you see, it's already got the carbon fiber stripes in the same manner as what I did in the front, because I didn't paint the car. I just had to redo the front end. So as you can see, everything looks the same. Got everything in gold where there would be chrome. Everything turned out real nice. All right, so like I said before, we had quite a bit of body work where we actually molded in the hood, did some carbon fiber work there. And then we had to do some modifying and extending here. Now these are not the right fasteners. I don't have the black fasteners that go with the car. Like I say, so we added a little bit right here to make the door gap fit like it should. And then did some work along the area there where the hood and the fender meet. All right, so as usual, all the colors are going to be in the description on every formula. Now the formula for the 24 karat gold, like I mentioned before, is an obsolete formula. So we had to tweak it a little bit. As you can see, you can't tell the difference between the front and rear of the car. There's just a tiny difference in the pearl that goes in that mix. So I'll give you the mix that I used, which works out really good, especially if you're going to do a complete job with that gold. So yeah, hopefully you learned a little something. If you did, do me a favor, like, subscribe, and tap that bell, and I'll catch you on the next one.